Hi, welcome to another episode of MYD Global. I'm your host, Leanne Hackman-Carty. You know, one of the things I tell people, whether it's an individual or a business, when I'm helping them post-disaster, is I tell them you need a generator as a mitigation strategy. But to be honest, I have no clue how they worked. That's why this episode is dedicated to understanding a little more about a generator and why you should have one, as well as what type you should be getting. So I'm talking to Ron Weingartz, who is the owner and VP of Sales for Weingartz in Michigan, and they're a family-owned business who have been around since 1945. Selling generators is something they do well. So stay tuned as I talk to Ron about generators and what you should be looking for. Hey Ron, how are you doing today?
Great. How are you?
Good, good. Hey, so before we get started on our topic today, just maybe tell us a little bit about yourself.
Sure. Well, my name is Ron Weingartz. Been with our family business, which started in 1945, originally in Utica, Michigan. And I oversee the sales department. So we have 6 locations that I put the sales programs and promotions and help with the training of our sales staff.
I love family businesses. I think that's awesome that you've been in business since 1945. I'm sure you've seen a lot of changes over those years in the business.
Yes, we sure have. Yeah.
So one of the things I wanted to talk to you about, I know that your business, you sell a lot of generators. And what I wanted to just understand a little bit about, when a person, say an individual or a business, is looking to buy a generator, what are the kinds of factors, the kinds of things that they should be looking at?
Okay. Well, for business and residential are a little bit different, but the key is to find out what you really need the generator for. Some people come in for their home and they have ideas of powering the whole house and find out they need a much bigger, more expensive generator than they planned on purchasing. So really a lot of it is figuring out what is important. So naturally in Michigan, where I'm from, heat would be important. The power goes out, where maybe air conditioning isn't as critical. Where something from the south, that might be a necessity. So you need to look at the power requirements and find out what you can really need and what you could do without during a power outage.
And so I know in one of the communities we were working in, there was a flood, and it was a meat packing or processing plant, and they couldn't get in to flip on their generator, and they lost a lot of product. And so when you're talking to, say, a commercial industry, just saying what are the kinds of things, obviously their refrigeration systems would have been needed to be backed up, but is there, as far as when you're helping a business like that, take into account what are the kind of needs? Are you looking at, is there like a cheat sheet you have where you say, okay, you got to look at the electricity, you got to look at, is it diesel, what are the kinds of differences between generators?
Sure. So yeah, there are differences in the type of equipment. For example, a refrigeration system might take a higher starting wattage. So that's the other important thing. If you look at what it takes to run, but you also, some of those units take a lot more when they originally start. So you have to make sure you have the starting wattage. Really dialing in the needs, but there are some cheat sheets. A lot of manufacturers, we deal a lot with Honda as an example. They have a chart that tells you a typical air conditioner draws this much, a typical refrigerator draws this much. So it gives you a good guideline. It's a good starting point. And along with that, for a business, you need to kind of plan ahead, because if a refrigeration system is hardwired, you need to make sure you either have a transfer switch or some way of hooking the generator up to be able to power those items.
So it's not like you just go to a place like Weingartz, you buy a generator and you think, okay, I'm good now. You should be thinking these things in advance.
Planning ahead, correct, yep.
Yeah, if something were to happen tomorrow, is this the kind of equipment that's going to help me? Am I set up for it? Do I have the proper wiring? Do I have because I would assume that they would draw. Like I said, I know nothing about generators other than I tell people it's a good idea to have one in
Sure.
case your power goes out. So
Yeah, so part of it is looking at the items you're looking to run. So natural refrigerator, you can unplug and run an extension cord. That's an easy hookup. A
yeah,
furnace that is hardwired, you're going to have to either have a electrician have a plug that you can unplug the furnace from and plug into the generator. Or I mean, an ideal system is to have a transfer switch, but there again, that takes more planning than the day before the storm. But a transfer switch hooked next to your power box where you can flip the switch and plug your generator to the transfer switch. That's really the ideal way.
yeah.
But it depends on really what you're looking to run. If there's things you can do with extension cords, you don't need to go through the expense of having a transfer switch wired.
So in the case, say of Puerto Rico, you have an island that the power goes out for, I mean, it was months. What would have been a good solution for many of those residents in advance had they had the opportunity to plan? Individual generators at each house? Like, what would be the best solution for them?
Yeah, typically individual generator each house because it gets a little complicated to have a generator powering multiple houses. And the transfer switch is without question the easiest and most efficient way
Yeah.
of powering a house. So that would be the best bet. And then, there again, figure out what you need to run. So typically you don't need something real large to get through the necessities. And then when you look to purchase the generator, if you're going to be without power a long time, you want to make sure you have a fuel tank that you're not out filling the fuel tank every 2 hours.
Exactly.
So a lot of them now you can get 7 to 9 hours of runtime, but you need to look at that because not all of them have that feature.
Yeah. Well, that's great. Is there anything else before we wrap up that maybe I didn't ask about and you wanted to mention? Or
No, the other thing is really just to look at the quality of the generator. So some of them have like voltage regulation systems. So they call it clean power.
yeah,
So if you're powering more sophisticated equipment like computers, some generators have a lot of fluctuation in the voltage. Where if you're powering a house, it's not maybe as important. So there again, for an office setting where they're powering phone systems and computers, you want to look at something that has voltage regulation so you don't get those fluctuations and spikes in power that could potentially cause damage to your equipment.
right. That's important. Well, Ron, thank you very much. I wish you and your company all the best in the future as you, obviously you're helping communities, individuals prepare and respond to times that are pretty challenging for them. So thank you for all you're doing and wishing you all the best in the future.
Oh, thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.